And we're going to go ahead and get started here. First and foremost, thank each and every one of you for joining us here today. My name is Russell Gray. I'm in charge of vendor relations with the Army CA program, also known as ACAPO. With us today, I also see our program manager, Mrs. Sophia Sweeney. I see Tanya. I see David. If I'm missing any other team members, I hope not. Sure they're dealing with other taskers, but first and foremost, I want to let you know this session is being recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, you're more than welcome to drop off. This session will be sent out to all the pending vendors at the end, the recording as well as the slides. Thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We wanted to give you a little bit more information about the Army CA program, what you can do to join us as a vendor, and why that's important. Go ahead and get started here. Some of the things we're going to talk about today. What is the Army CA program? What's your new vendor process, i.e., dealing with the MOA, the needed items for the application? See some of those items there. Talk a little bit about their approved vendors list. We'll have some program manager notes at the end and then give you the opportunity for questions and answers if you like. However, if you find during the process you have a question that you need to ask about, feel free to raise your hand, throw it up there, and or put it into the chat. One of our team members will be happy to get that information for you. If you wouldn't mind, please make sure that your microphones are on mute unless we've called on you to speak. That way, we don't have any backlash information there. And we'll go ahead and get started. So, what is Army CA? Army Credentialing Assistance. So, just like the tuition assistance program for soldiers that they can utilize to pursue their bachelor's, their master's, etc., the credentialing assistance program is an off-duty program that allows soldiers to pursue credentials from the industry, industry recognized credentials and licensures that they may not have otherwise been able to pursue. Those certifications and licensures also help the soldiers while they're in the service. We'd like to let everyone know that this is not a transition program. However, it is a program that enhances the capabilities of our soldiers. So they have the opportunity to learn some of the skill sets that our civilian counterparts are learning and be able to reciprocate that when they do leave the service to say, hey, I not only have the certifications that you're requiring, but you don't have to pay for them because I've already obtained them while I was in the service, and I've exercised those credentials for X amount of years. So this is an off-duty program for our soldiers to pursue, and again, it supports their readiness, their professional development, and retaining quality soldiers. But before we get started, I know that many of you may have heard the terms Army Cool or maybe Army CA. We wanted to let you know how everything flows with this program so you're aware first and foremost. The Army Credentialing Assistance Program is what we are a part of. That's where soldiers will go to request their funding. This is where vendors will be able to put in their information so that they're available to soldiers to see. This is where all the meat and potatoes of the program happen. Army Cool, every branch has a cool program per se, credentialing opportunities online. However, we do it a little bit differently in the Army. On the Army side, our cool program, our Army Cool, is a repository for all of the certifications and licensures that soldiers can pursue. We're talking over 2,000 certifications that have already been approved and sit in the Army Cool system for soldiers to go and review. This is also a front-facing system, a forward-facing system. So you as a civilian entity or a potential vendor, or even just looking to see how you may play a part, you have the authorization to go onto this website and look at the information there without needing login information or items like that. So this is where you would go to see if what you offer via training, be it if you offer examinations to see first if it's been approved on Army Cool. Because if you see it on Army Cool, then the soldier can pursue it with Army CA. The AI portal, this is where you as vendors will work out of. This is where you'll put in your courses, you'll put in your exams, you'll upload results for the soldiers once they've completed. This is where you would do everything associated with the Army CA program. Whereas for the soldiers, they have Army Ignited. This is where they'll go in, they'll be able to see you as a potential vendor for the certification they want to pursue or the training they want to pursue. This is where they'll be able to go in and request funding and do their part to participate in the program. Soldiers navigate through Army Cool to search for the credentials they want to pursue. Just as I stated, they'll do their CA requests in Army Ignited. Once they found something that they're interested in, they'll reach out to you as a vendor and say, I need to request a custom price quote for the items that I want to pursue. So, and we'll use PMP as that's something we like to go back to, everyone's familiar with, the project management professional. If a soldier says, I want to come to your organization and I want to take a prep course for the PMP before I sit for the actual exam, they'll get a custom price quote provided by you to them. And then once they have that, they can start their credentialing assistance request, or what we refer to as a CAR. Soldiers are required to upload that quote and make sure that whatever is on that quote matches what you as a vendor put into the AI portal. So if you said that course is $1,500, we expect on the price quote for it to say that it's $1,500. Exceptions to that, vendors are authorized to provide discounts to soldiers. So if that's something that your company is interested in doing, you're more than welcome to do that. Again, add that on to the custom price quote. The quote must have the soldier's name, start and end date, or if you don't have a start and end date, at minimum, put the expiration date of the quote. That way we'll know, hey, this quote is good until July 2025, and the soldier's not submitting a quote that was only good until February of 2013. Yes, we've seen it before. It has happened. So when the soldier submits their information through and the payments and receipts are reconciled, remember the soldier cannot start a course unless they have been paid for. So, and I'll go over that part a little more as we go through. But once you have reconciled the payment, submitted the receipt, the soldier can begin their course. Once they complete that course, we request that you, the vendor, upload the results, pass or fail. That's how we do the results on this side. It's not a letter grade, it's either pass or fail, or numeric grade, excuse me. And then you'll upload that into the AI portal under that soldier's name to help close out their process. Again, their soldiers are not allowed to start a course before payment. If they do, they could be liable for the total cost of the course on their own. So let's make sure that the payment is made before they start. Before creating an account in the AI portal, and we'll talk about some more of this as we get into the process, but you're going to want to have a cage code. We do not issue the cage codes, nor do we have oversight of the cage codes. You would have to go to sam.gov, sam.gov, and there you'll be able to register and get a cage code if you don't already have one. And this is where you'll also need to go in every year to make sure that your cage code has been renewed, because it is an annual requirement. Also, to participate with the Army CA program, you had to have been in business for a minimum of 2 years. If you haven't, please let us know. We'll let you know, hey, we look forward to you coming back around this time frame and possibly participating in the Army CA program. There's other items that you'll see as we go along that you're required to have to participate with the Army CA program, but these two are dead stops right there. If you don't have a cage code, you haven't been in business for at least 2 years, you won't be able to participate in the Army CA program. So before I move forward, do I have any questions about anything so far? I see Nicholas Moy.
Hi, yes, I have a quick question about the 2 years in business.
Okay.
If an LLC has been registered for over 2 years, but has reinstatement marks in its history. Is that going to pose an issue?
As long as in SAM.gov it shows your entity start date is greater than 2 years.
Okay. All right. That answers it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have
Yeah.
2 questions. Hi. As far as marking the student pass or failed, is there an API that we can direct to that would mark that student as pass or fail within your system?
So when you log into the Army Ignited, the AI portal, you'll have a notification that'll pop up on your screen for grades, for invoices that need to be paid. You'll have a message center right there in the hub of your AI portal screen. From there, you'll be able to select, if you see that there are grades pending to be input, you'll be able to select that, select the soldier's card request, and then at the very end of the card request, it'll give you a drop down for either the P or the F. So everything will be done in the AI portal.
It's okay. So it's a human is doing this, is logging in and checking this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then as far as payments, does it show within the vendor portal that a payment's been received? Are the payments made electronically? I'm not aware of how that.
Yes, ma'am. I think I have a slide on here about that. If I don't have one there, I will definitely address that. But yes, there is something in the AI portal that's going to gear you toward what the payment looks like, how you're supposed to make the payment, and getting it turned back over. And I will definitely talk about that before we end.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Miss Diane, I see you have your hand up.
I do. I think the question for us, we're the credentialing organization, and we are on the COOL site as approved, but we did get the email to fill out the MOA. Is that paperwork still necessary, or is there someone we can talk to directly to know exactly what you need from us?
I'm glad you brought that up. Just because you show up on the Army COOL site, the Army COOL site is going to show that credentialing body, but that credentialing body may not be an authorized vendor. So just because your certifications have been approved and they show up on Army COOL, that doesn't necessarily make you a vendor automatically. You would still have to go through the vendor process, say, hey, we would like to sell our product to soldiers. We would like for us to be the point of communication for selling this information and become an authorized vendor.
Perfect. And we are going through that process. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Is there anything else you're seeing out there, Sophia, before I move on?
Nope, you're good to go.
All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the new vendor process. Now, all of you will may have seen an email like this in the past. A soldier will contact us and say, I would like for such and such company to be a vendor with Army CA. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to send you out an email that looks very similar to this. And it's going to give you the MOA. It's going to give you the vendor process guide. It's going to give you the information for creating your cage code, the vendor requirements, and it'll walk you step by step on the items that you need to do to create an account. So if you have not seen one of these from us before and you're interested after we speak about becoming a vendor, I will definitely be sending you one of these emails. Within that email is the MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement between you as a vendor and the Department of the Army. We ask that the first thing you do in the first paragraph there, the header paragraph, is put your vendor name right in that top paragraph. That is crucial. And then at the end, we'll obviously make sure you've read through and you understand everything in the MOA. And if you have questions, please let us know, because the MOA is written at a high level to where it captures academic institutions, but it also captures our quote unquote mom and pops who have like their own smaller business. It's written to capture everybody. So if you have particular questions about the MOA, don't hesitate to reach out to us so we can answer those questions for you. But on the bottom part of the MOA in the signature block, you're going to want to make sure that the signature and the printed name of the authorized signing party is there. The title of the signatory, it needs to be someone in your company's leadership hierarchy, i.e. your president, your vice president, your CFO, someone who, if legal decisions had to be made on behalf of the company, that individual is authorized to do so. And then the agency name there, and right at the bottom, it didn't show on this screen, but it shows the date. So make sure you put the date that it was signed on there and send that back to us. Once you send the MOA back to us, we will automatically send it to our leadership for signature. Once your application has been approved for Army CA, we will send you a signed copy of the MOA back to you in the approval email. There's a couple things again. Remember to fill out the top paragraph, read the entire MOA. If there's something you don't understand, feel free to ask us. Print and sign at the bottom of the document. It has to be a part of the leadership hierarchy. And please do not use DocuSign. If we get a document that comes through with DocuSign, our leadership cannot sign it from there. So we ask, if you are a company that uses DocuSign, you make sure you scan in PDF to us and send it back to us that way, or you're more than welcome to print it out with sign and scan it back in if you need to, if you can't do a digital signature. All right, so this is where your Army CA journey is going to begin. Remember, we were just talking about the Army Cool homepage. That's where you're going to go, and you're going to look to see if what you offer as a course or an exam has already been approved for soldiers to be able to utilize. You'll also look under the related links there under the Army Cool program, under credentialing assistance related links, and you'll see that your vendor CA process guide is in there. It's also included in your invitational email, and I'll include a copy of that with the video and the slides that I send out from this at the end as well. After your user profile has been created, some important information that you're going to want to make sure you have in your application. And again, this is in the requirements for the application in the invitational email, but you're going to want to make sure that you have a business license. The business license is basically saying that you have the authorization to operate in the state where you're headquartered. A CV authorization letter, what that is if you are not the credentialing body, we'll go back to the PMP again, but you offer a PMP prep course, we need a letter from PMI, the credentialing body, saying that you are an authorized training provider to be providing courses toward their certification. If you cannot get that authorization letter, we require you to submit training statistics to show how many individuals have taken your course and passed the certification exam, or at least taken the certification exam as a result, pass or fail. So we need to know who's taken that certification result, not just taking your course. A PDF document with your website URL, it can be on a Word document. All it needs to be is copy and paste of your URL, put smack on that PDF and upload it. The course list, on the course list that you would send to us of what you're going to be looking to put into the AI portal, you're going to be offering, what credential it aligns to, and the total cost. And then, of course, the CAGE code. You're going to want to make sure that you have your CAGE code in there as well. And make sure that you've been approved and you have a valid CAGE code when you're doing your application. I will also let you know that the way the AI portal system is set up, it will time out and it will kick you out. So if you don't have all your information together when you're going through it, it could kick you out and cause you to have to start over. So that's why we definitely recommend take a look at the vendor requirements item in the invitational message before you start. Get all of that information together, make sure you've got it, and then start your application. Documents cannot be any bigger than 4 megabytes that you upload into the system. If you do, it'll give you an error message and it'll kick it back to you. So just remember, nothing bigger than 4 megabytes. All right, so you've gone through and you are getting ready to start into the AI portal. This is what the AI portal home screen is going to look like for you as you're logging in. If this is your first time logging in, you're going to make sure you select register right here, and it'll run you through the registration process. And we'll look at it that way from here. As all of you are new vendors, this would be you logging in as a new entity to participate. Just a quick note on this, though, or actually the next slide to help out with that. When you select that new institution account, this is where you're going to put all your information in. However, if you have other employees that are going to participate with the Army CA program, i.e., you have someone who's going to be running the payment portion, or you have someone who's going to be responsible for uploading grades, they are going to have their own individual user accounts. So make sure the main user account is created first, and then have them go in and create their individual user accounts. Once they go into the system here, and this is still with you looking at starting a brand new entity being put in, you're going to select the Army Credentialing Assistance tab. You'll see it's got the Air Force's program and MyCA and other programs in there. The only one that we are responsible for is Army CA. So if you're interested in participating in those other programs, you would have to get a hold of their contacts to do that. But only ones we're talking about here are the Army CA. Here you'll type in your institution name. So again, your vendor name would go in here. Make sure that you hit next instead of enter. When you're done with that, if you hit enter, it's going to give you an error message and cause you to have to retype everything in. So from lessons learned, from what we found about the system, it's best just to hit next. From there, you'll start your institution application. You'll put in your institution tax status, if you're for-profit, not-for-profit, etc. Your teaching method, if you're in person, if you're distance learning, or if you're hybrid and you offer both. It'll give you the opportunity to select that there. Again, you're going to put your company's website right there in that box, the following there. The institution address, you put your institution information in there, city, state, zip, and then you'll start uploading your supporting documents. And remember all the things that I was telling you that you would need. You'll see here as we go down, there's a slot to put into each individual item. So this part has the business license, the credentialing body authorization letter, the training metrics, website URL, the course or exam list with cost. Then you'll put in your business license expiration date, the CAGE code, its expiration date. You don't have to put anything in the comments, and then you'll hit next. Here's kind of an idea of what some of that information looks like once it's put in there. Next, you're going to put in your information. So you'll create a username. You'll put your title and your information for your account, your first, your last name, your phone number, email address, and confirm the email address. Right here on the little catch thing down at the bottom, the security verification, you have to add this up and put the sum in the box. We have vendors call us all the time. We can't get through it. It keeps kicking us back because they try to type the actual thing of what it says there. So make sure you add the two numbers together and then put the answer into the box and select next. From here, it'll tell you that you put in your information and it's ready to be submitted. You'll go ahead and hit submit. And it'll come over to our team for review. Our team reviews the vendor applications at least once a week. We're in there and we're reviewing the information. If your information is good to go, again, you'll get that approval email and it'll show a copy of your MOA signed in there as well. If there's items that need to be fixed, you'll also receive an email about that on what needs to be fixed, and then you'll just resubmit your application. Remember, if you receive an error while you're submitting your application, there's a chance your documents may be larger than 4 megabytes. If it continues, let us know. It may be a technical issue that we have to put you in contact with the help desk. Let's see. This program is also available for all entities of the Army. So your active duty, your guard, your reserve, your officers, your warrant officers, everyone has the ability to participate in Army CA, and they only receive $4,000 per fiscal year for their certifications and licensures, and that coincides with their tuition assistance funds. So if you're putting courses in the system and you know your courses are well above that $4,000, say you have a flight school and your private pilot's license altogether costs about $12,000. We would ask that you phase those costs in the system. So it would be private pilot, excuse me, phase one, private pilot phase two. That way the soldier has the ability to come back and request it. Because if they request it that one time under the 4,000 and it's not phased out, then they're going to have to figure out how to come up with the remainder of the money to pay for the rest. So phasing it out helps the soldiers be able to come back and ask for additional funding. If you don't offer items such as books, materials, or the exam, don't put it in your funding request. Even if you say, well, we just want to let them know that such and such is where they need to go to get the exam, don't put it in your listed items. If you want, when you're putting your items in the system, it has a description box at the bottom. You can put your URL in there in that description box. And if it says on your website that they can go to this individual and get the exam, they can look for it there, but don't put it in the AI portal. Let's see here. Okay, are there any questions on anything that we've gone over so far? I see Mrs. Sweeney is answering questions in the box right now. Are there any other questions that anyone wants to come up on the line? Okay, then we are going to jump over to our program manager notes. Mrs. Sweeney is going to give y'all some information about like the Army Cool side of things. And wait, I just had a hand up there.
Yeah, I've got a question. This is Adam Andrews.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, my organization offers certification exams, but we do not offer training courses.
Okay.
We've got our exams listed in the portal, and with respect to the comment you just made about including study materials, I'd love to include a link to study materials, but I can't find a place to add that as a component of the exam. Were you just saying that it's sufficient to direct soldiers back to our website for those things, even if they have to pay for them?
So is it something that you would be directing them to another vendor or entity to get it from, not from you?
That's correct. Right. So in order to prepare for our exams without a training course, you would need to go buy the textbooks, on the internet or from other organizations.
Okay. So if it's, let's say you have books that are recommended for them to have, you can put that information under study material and say, like, if it's a book that they would buy off Amazon, you could put that there. What I'm referring to is like if you were just offering the courses themselves and you didn't offer the exam, don't put it on your AI portal account that you have the exam, because then it's going to confuse the soldiers and they're not going to be able to apply for it.
Right. So our situation is kind of the opposite. We do not offer courses. We
Right.
do offer the exam, but the exams, in order to prepare for the exam, you got to buy a couple of textbooks. We would like
Yes.
to reimburse the soldiers for the cost of those textbooks, but they don't buy them from us. They buy them from, Amazon. How would I handle that on our listing in the AI portal?
So the soldiers, so you would put that under cool study materials in the AI portal. Under schools at the very top, you have a drop down for your cool prep courses, cool study materials, cool exams,
Uh-huh.
and you would put that information under study material. I think Mrs. Sweeney had something to add on there as well.
I'm at that page right now and I don't see any way to do that. It only refers to courses that I can associate materials with. And we don't have any courses. We only have exams. That's kind of why I'm asking.
So let me just add to that real quick. As far as you're just going to list it as an exam, right?
Yeah.
And any books or materials,
I'm on
you
the
can put.
course.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah, I can't quite hear you.
Okay, I think I got him muted. So can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't add it if you do not sell it, right? And as far
Okay.
as like reimbursing, you would not be able to reimburse either. We don't allow for reimbursements.
Got it.
So you would basically just put it in your, you would just put it in the description of the exam, right? There's a box for the description,
Yep.
and you can add it there like, hey, these are required for the course, though we don't sell them, right? And then they would
Okay.
have to submit another CA request for the books and materials from Amazon.
Awesome.
Are you
So-
currently approved already?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because this is just for a pending vendor.
Sorry, maybe this question is distracting. I apologize. I just want to make sure that I was, just let me confirm and then I'll get out of everybody's way. A link back to our website would be sufficient then to direct the soldiers to the books. It sounds like that's what you're saying.
I mean, you can do that if you want to add the actual link. That's totally fine too. We just it would be, but make sure you list it in the description as well. Like, hey, these are the books. For more information, go here, right, to the link.
Thanks very much for your help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Sophia.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so I'm gonna pass it off to you now. Anyway, so perfect timing.
Thank you, Russell, and great job. Thank you, everyone, very much for attending today's session. My name is Sophia Sweeney. I am the Credentialing Assistance Program Manager and the Army Cool Program Manager. I do want to talk a little bit about Army Cool so you know how to, I saw some questions in the chat earlier about, if something is not there, if a credential is not listed, can we still offer it? So I'll show you where to find these credentials in Army Cool so that you can, see what it is that you can and cannot offer should you be approved to become a vendor for the CA program. So real quick, I see a question in the chat from Jad, and it says, thank you. Should we send it to the email? Let me see. I got to go back up to what your question was. Regarding the MOA, we have to send it by email, and do we send it before registration or after registration? Okay, so Dottie, if you're out there, could you please add the emails to the chat? So however you received it, right? If you, obviously, I'm sure that it was Russell who sent you this information. Please just reply back to Russell, myself, and Dottie with your MOI, your signed MOA. Let's see. Additionally, I'm a technical coordinator and continuing education development. Can I send the email, or does it need to be sent to the person who signed it? I think. Did I answer your question, or want to make sure I answered your question?
Yes, hello. Thank you. Yeah. You answered it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. We'll go ahead and move. Thank you, Daddy, for adding our emails. Okay, so going on to Army Cool. Now I know I've got some pictures here, but I do want to share my screen real quick, if you don't mind, Russell. I could take over. Thank you. All right. And Russell, if you could tell me if you could see my slide or my, not my slides, but the website.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Army Cool. I just want to hit a couple of things on Army Cool. Oh, And, oh goodness. Yeah, of course, my mouse just died on me. So if you could give me just 1 second, I need to get some batteries. So while I'm getting my batteries, Russell, if you'd like to answer any other questions.
Absolutely. So does anyone have any other questions so far from anything you've heard or got interest in?
I had a question. The 4,000 they get, does the person get that once every year? And if so, when does that start? Is it January 1st, or is it like an academic year that starts August 1st, like the VA?
Good question. So it's every fiscal year. So sometime in October, the soldiers should receive their annual allowance, their fiscal year allowance for funding.
And here's another question with that too. For instance, we do flight training, and since that would not cover the cost to get, let's say, their private pilot's license, if we end up getting that approved, could they apply the last 6 months of that fiscal year and use their money, and then the next fiscal year continue and do the second half of their training to complete it? Or once they enter a program, is 4,000 all they get for that program for eternity? That's it. It was just 4,000.
Nope, you are correct. If they wanted to put in their request in the last 6 months and then start a new request for the next phase, that next fiscal year, they could do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm back. Thank you, Russell.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, of all times too, my my mouse works all the way up until right now. I guess when it was flashing red, I should have changed it at that point. Oh, got a hand up, a couple hands up. So Haley, do you still have a question or are you good?
I do, yes. Thank you. So my question is, so you mentioned that Army CA was the only thing that you guys had purview over. So does that mean that if we are interested in getting this added to, for instance, like Navy and I guess the National Guard would be Army National Guard, and the Air Force, there's an additional application for all branches? Is that correct?
So for us, it is active duty, Army National Guard, and Army Reserve. So we are in control of all of that. As far as the Air Force, though they may accept your application based off of our approval, you still need to contact them to make sure that they are good with your offerings, what it is, what you do offer, right? And then the Navy and Marines and Coast Guard, those guys, you have to contact them separately, and they have their own process for allowing certain vendors or courses or whatever. So yeah, that's you definitely have to contact all of them.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Good question. And Nicholas?
Yes, hi. I don't know if this was mentioned. I had stepped away for a second, but I know that we're not allowed to issue the training to the service member until we've received payment. How long does that life cycle take before we as a school will receive the funding so we can issue the training?
Yeah, so it's actually it's been going pretty quick. So the soldier has to submit a CA request at least 45 days from the day that their start date must be at least 45 days from their submission date. So if they submitted today, sometime in August, they'd be able to, start the course, or it would be funded by that time, right? But lately, our team has been processing cases like at least a month ahead of time. So if they're processed by our team, by Team Akapo, a month ahead of time, that means finance can push out all these payments as quickly as possible or within their payment cycles. So currently they're in July, so they can pay pretty much anything in July. They wouldn't be able to pay for August because it's the next billing cycle or whatever, but for the most part, they're ahead of schedule too, anywhere from a week to a couple weeks to 3 weeks, right? Just depends.
Okay.
So
Okay. And then one more question for you.
Mhm.
are the funds secured once we have received them, or is there a warranty or a buyback process where the service member can say, hey, I want to use that funding for another school or another program?
So once we pay you, it's pretty much done, right? However, if a soldier was to get deployed, or there was some type of emergency situation, whatever the case, right? There are certain situations in which they could withdraw. And when you're signing that MOA, you agree to those terms and conditions of refunding the Army if it is something like that. Now, you would only refund if you get a message from myself
Okay.
or from my team asking for a refund. That would be the only time you'd ever refund any funds, right? And
Gotcha.
it could be at a percentage too. So if a soldier is like, halfway through the course, we're obviously not going to expect 100% back. And in some cases, if and I know there's like a credentialing agency out there, if that soldier accessed that exam at some point, or whatever it is, we obviously we're not going to be requesting that refund if it cannot be reused, right? So there's certain situations which
Okay.
we will request a refund, but then others where no, we're not even, it's locked, right? Even if they say, no, I don't really want to go to your class, I want to go to somebody else's. The thing is that it's just like a college course, right? If you don't like it, or I mean, so sorry, you go ahead and request another one, but you're going to still use your funds to do it.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, any other questions before I move on? Okay, so this is Army Cool. You guys can still see it, right? Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a public site. Anyone can access this site. So you can, as long as you don't use Internet Explorer, right? It works on Microsoft Edge, Chrome, Firefox, just not Internet Explorer. But again, public site, you can, if you don't know how to use it, too easy, just click on how to use. Or if you want to just find out information about the Credentialing Assistance Program, you can come to this page right here. It has pretty much a lot of information that we, again, you'll see the vendor CA process guide. We create step-by-step guides for the soldiers because it can be, as much as I'd like to say it's intuitive to submit a CA request or even an application for a vendor, right? It's not really that intuitive. So we created step-by-step guides for everything. Once you become, this is just the basic, hey, you can sign in and log, get your account set up. But once you actually do that and we move forward, we give you more step-by-step guides for other situations like payment, like finding out who's pending and so forth. So we only put the basics here because we don't want to, it's like drinking from a water hose or something, right? We throw all this stuff out there, probably be discouraged and not want to participate. So little bits by little bits we send you. Then there's our policies, and then there's our approved vendor list. This is where all of our vendors that go through the process and are approved will land, right? We update this every month. So if you did something, if you were approved today, you wouldn't appear here until 1 August, right? Every month it's updated. We also have credentials that are removed and added every month, right? So that is something you have to pay attention to as well to make sure you, the credential you're offering is still on the list. Because like I said, it can be removed. Sometimes the credential goes, it's done, it's over with, it's no longer going to be offered. So it gets removed from the list. So how you would find, for one, if you ever get lost, you're like, I don't know where I'm at, just click on Army Cool. It takes you right back to the home page. If you're searching for a specific offer, you just click on credential search. And we hope it comes up really quick. Sometimes it takes a little bit because there's over 2,000 in here. So So apologize. They always work to try to make this quicker, but doesn't always happen like we want it. So here, there's 2169 credentials this month, right, in Army Cool. Next month, it could be higher or lower, depending on what is being added or removed. So just as a quick example, we get so many, like PMP is our number one for the most part that's being offered. Sometimes less is more, so you don't want to add too much or too little, or else it might not pull up. But if I just add in the search word PMP, I can click on credential details, and it shows the right here. It gives me some information about renewal period and so forth, right? It also talks about eligibility, what's included in the exam. This is where where if you're just a provider for training, you want to make sure you do two things. Look here to see that you have courses that might lead to this exam, but you also want to go here and contact the credentialing agency to make sure you are even able to offer that, right? Because sometimes the credentialing agency might say, no, we're not authorizing anybody to give this training. It must come from blah, right? Wherever. But the bottom line is asking, right? So I know I saw another question in there about the, credentialing body letter. We do expect that either you're authorized to give this training or you can provide statistics to show, and not just a number, not just a, hey, I gave it to 3 soldiers or 3 students and they passed. And that's not what we're looking for. We want to know all of who is, and you don't have to give us all the PII, just the last name or something, what course they actually took with you. And after that, did they pass the exam? That requires you to have contacted or kept in contact with that student to see if they passed the exam that you're training them on, because they could all pass your training, but that doesn't mean they're going to pass the exam. And we want soldiers to be able to pass the exam. So as long as you can provide that type of information, then yeah, we should be good, right? But it does require some things that way. So this is basically how you find the credentials that you could that you might think you have training that will lead to a specific credential. So you can look it up here. But going back to this one, anything, if you don't know at all, there's also some filters here. So you can look by occupation, right? So I don't know, whatever it might be. If you selected a specific like lodging and recreational services, everything that might apply to that would appear here. So it's not as big a list, maybe just 47. So just something like that, just if you want to, if you're not really sure what you could offer, this is one way to find it. And obviously, if you're on this call, someone recommended you as a vendor, that they wanted you to participate so they could use you as their vendor. So I think that's all for that. Any questions here in Army Cool? Yes.
So we're looking at, well, actually, we just got authorized to teach the cloud security, a cloud security certification, through the Cloud Security Alliance. So we're an authorized vendor. We're going to be issuing this training out there. Now, we're not Cloud Security Alliance. We're not the authorizing body. Right. We're just, we're teaching it and we're certifying members that want to go after that. I'm looking at similar certifications within the Cool website, and it looks like all of these are directly from those authorizing bodies, the ones that actually created the credential. Do we have to be those? I mean, can we do this training of someone else's certification? I guess is kind of my question.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So that's kind of what I was saying, like in Army Cool, you're only going to see credentialing agencies. You're not going to see training providers. That's only on our list of approved vendors, right? But the only credentials or businesses you're going to find in here are credentialing agencies only. So in this example, no, you do not have to be ACAT, right? You just need to be able to provide the training and show us the proof that the students that you taught passed this accredited tax advisor course, or I'm sorry, not course, but certification, right? Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. Yep. That helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, no problem. Right, Haley.
Yes, thank you. So my question is, we've had soldiers reach out to us, obviously because we were invited to, but how far in advance should we instruct the soldiers to apply before? I know you mentioned that we would typically get paid when the same monthly billing cycle, but I mean, if we have people reaching out to us 6-7 months in advance, should we tell them to go ahead and apply for our courses?
So they will require, they're going to have to get a quote from you first, right? So they would ask you for a custom quote on that specific, course that you might be offering. And again, that comes after you're approved. We talk about all this stuff about no bundling and that type of thing. But yeah, they could. They could apply, but you have to be in the system first. You have to be an approved vendor before they can select you in the system. So once you are approved, they automatically can go in there and submit their requests for funding for anywhere between 45 days and 90 days out, right? They can select any time in there.
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Yeah, we have about 24 soldiers waiting right now on us.
Great.
So they're all asking us, how do we do it? I don't, from their end, I don't know. So this is very helpful to
good.
Tell them all they have to wait.
Yeah, and I will tell you, for soldiers who are asking like, hey, how do I get started, right? You can always go again. We went back to Army Cool. We clicked on credentialing assistance. This right here is our virtual counseling cell. You just tell them to go to this page right here, the CA page, and then contact an Army Education an Army CA counselor. I'm sorry, and they will walk them through the entire steps of submitting their CA requests. It's pretty easy for them. They can meet them virtually anytime, any day, right? So, or pretty much every day, except for weekends. They don't meet on weekends, but every other time they can meet and schedule those times to get them started. So yeah, it's easy once you're in, right? No, I'm just joking. It's not that easy, but we will help you. I promise. Russell's on webinars all day long with various vendors who are struggling with something, right? So, and I don't want to discourage you either because it's not that bad, but I'm just, you're not sure of something, we will definitely be there to help you.
But that also helps to kind of set expectations also for soldiers who might be at the point where they're frustrated. So that helps us to, be able to tell them, hey, it's going to take a little time. There's some troubleshooting. So thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so Russell, can you share again, please? All right, so I went through all that, and here are the links, and I think that is the last for me. I do want to say thank you so much for wanting to learn more about our program, and to be able to share the offerings that you have is it's amazing. We love it, and we hope that we can get all of you to get on board. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Russell. Thank you all very much, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, Sophia. And just to close up here, if anyone has any other questions, but my biggest question for you is, why aren't you sending us an email telling us how to get you started? Let's go. It's time to get each and every one of you in as vendors, have your information available to soldiers, and start rocking this process. Like you said, if you need extra help, or you need help walking through the process, I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you and walk you through the application process if you need it. If not, again, we're going to send the videos for this at the end. You'll have the slides. You'll have that other documentation that I said I'd include. And I'll get this up on YouTube real quick and send over to everybody. Thank each and every one of you for joining. Thank you to our leadership team for being on today. Sophia and the rest of Acapulco, thank you guys for being here. And with that, I'm going to end the recording, and we will see each and every one of you on the approved vendor list very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.